All right, so yeah, it's time. So, hello everyone, and we're back with another interesting session today. And thank you all for taking time and joining us for this session. So, today, unlike our previous sessions, we're here to dive into a lot more from the domain side, particularly the oil and gas space, as the topic talks about, right? So, I'm here along with our in house industry and technology veterans. So I'm particularly excited to have this opportunity to learn more about how technology can play a key role in the oil and gas space, right? So and particularly today we'll be talking about the key challenges, the solution approach, and finally the technology puzzle that goes into digital oil fields and as the journey that a lot of the oil and gas producers across the world would want to take, right? So, just a quick intro. So, joining me are three of our stalwart professionals from Utthunga. Uh, uh, to start with, Mr. Manjunath Rao, an oil and gas veteran with more than 3 decades of experience in the industry and having worked with a lot of producers across the world. And Mr. Dinesh, who is our senior vice president with also 3 years, 3 decades of experience with different industrial automation OEMs and with also helping a lot of our manufacturers in their industry 4.0 solutions. And then finally, also our CTO, Mr. Rushendra Babu, with over 2 decades of experience providing products and solutions for the industrial automation space, and particularly oil and gas recently, right? So I think it's a great coming together of three industry veterans, and we have a lot to take away. And hope I'm sure we will be enlightened with a lot of their insights, right? So a couple of quick logistics before we get into the pointers that we have for today, right? This session again is a short session that will run for about 30 minutes, and we will have time for a Q&A later on. But at the same time, if you have any questions, do drop it in the comment section, and we'll definitely come back to them later on. So I think firstly, it's important to understand and delve into the challenges, right? So the challenges that the oil field managers encounter, and and it's much before even the digital oil fields and everything that comes about from that, right? The oil and gas industry itself is the landscape is huge, but with a specific focus on oil fields only today, I think it's apt for Mr. Manjunath to shed some insights into what you've particularly encountered during your vast experience with oil and gas producers across the world. So, if you can share some more insights into the challenges that the industry encounters, and then we can get into uh, the digital oil field situation itself.
Yeah, thank you, Nitin. See, as you mentioned, that oil and gas field is huge. The every day and every minute of our life, there is I cannot imagine without the oil and gas. Basically, even the medicines are derived from the oil and gas. This is a statement because it goes into every part of our life. But in my 4 decades of uh, experience in oil and gas, every day is a challenge and every time is a challenge. But now the challenge has increased after this COVID period, and now the war has created much more challenges. But apart from that, there are real challenges in oil field. I would like to categorize this oil field challenges into three places, three divisions. Like safety is one of the main division, and second is the reliability, and third is the efficiency. Why safety? As we know that the oil is very volatile, and we have a lot of safety issues from the production to upstream to midstream to downstream. But it is being mitigated very effectively, but still there are concerns of the safety. How it is the, these are all the oil fields are scattered in miles and square miles to square kilometers, so big and huge. So the wells are isolated place. There are normally unmanned operation takes place. But once unmanned operation takes place, safety concerns rises exponentially. Okay, so the how to monitor this unsafe unmanned operation is a real big challenge, because even though a lot of technologies have come, still improvement is needed into this unmanned operations. And then to go to, and second is the operations of unmanned, because access to remote status is still a big issue. There are right of ways are there, but still harsh weather conditions, whether it is very hot or very cold, and these are all isolated areas. The the access is very remote, so to get all the data from the wells and to compose it to one place, it is a real challenge. And then there will be a so the third one is, there are always leaks and hydrocarbon release near the wells and oil fields and the gas fields. So what happens is, not only it causes environmental damage, but it is a big safety issues. We see in northeastern part of India a lot of wells, you know, uh, get damaged, and it damages the environmental and the people also. This is one of the challenge. Safety is the one of the challenge of this one. Next is if you come to the production area of those wells, how it is affecting. This one is because the dynamics of the well changes. How to see, it is not possible for any person to be stationed there to get see the well dynamics, or in a daytime or nighttime, the well dynamic changes. We need to capture this data for more effective operations of the well. So this is one of the challenge. It is causing the many oil producers are going towards the technology to see how the effectively um, so we can mitigate this challenge. Then fourth one is again, implement this environmental impact. It is huge one. If it is onshore field or offshore field, either it is, whether it is in a desert or it is in a city or it is in the mid of the sea, always a leakage of oil or gas, it gets into environment and it gets polluted, and lot of damage has been can be done in for the earth or air or water, you name it. So this is also one of the challenge industry is facing, and the tech they are looking for the technologies to mitigate it. Then the second thing is coming to reliability. Reliability is a subject because, see, all the oil fields are getting aged. The Once it starts aging, the oil fields, definitely it may not be reliable in terms of assets, in terms of production. So reliability is a concern and challenge at present to the oil producers. So there, this how to mitigate this? Say nobody can discard. I mean, no oil manufacturer or oil producers will discard old equipment. So we are looking for a technology to come up and give us the reliable operation, reliability in assets, and coming up with the continuous monitoring of assets and predicting the future of the asset. This is a challenge, can be mitigated by this, and it is really hard to get into 35, 40 years old assets to sensorization and this one. But there is a way we can really mitigate this issue with the proper solutions. And this challenge is not serious as safety, but definitely it is a productivity issue. The last one is efficiency. As the uh, equipment gets older and it is not manageable, okay, the efficiency goes down. Either the operating companies decides whether to replace or to improve the efficiency. So these challenges has to be met with, the met with. We have to get a solution for to have continuous monitoring of efficiencies and process controls, and the to put proper technology into that to get into the process control. This is the factors at present, apart from pricing of the oil, and apart from the geophysical politics and everything. These are the challenges. It is hurting more the industry. If I grade the if I grade out of three, this all qualifies for the same challenge in terms of rating. All the three are this one, but still I could give the reliability as a main factor for the improving the to there's a chance to mitigate the challenges. Yeah.
Great. I think those were some great points, like at least at a high level, the fact that you were able to summarize some of those broad areas, right, into these three key pillars, as you mentioned, from a safety, reliability, and efficiency standpoint. There's a lot more on the ground that we can have a lot more control over than the socio-economic and everything around it that you also highlighted, right? So I think this sets the tone to what I'll want to sort of come to next, right? So I think this one's for you, Dinesh. So where uh, from your perspective, it'll be good to understand taking these critical issues and challenges on how you want to go about mitigating it, right? So when you're sort of like working with a lot of the stakeholders from the oil and gas space in terms of how these challenges can be mitigated. What is the typical solution approach, and what are the things that you take into consideration while suggesting a suitable way out from this?
Yeah, thanks, Nitin, and I think you can all hear me.
Yeah, yeah, it's gone.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I think having understood the type of challenges we have in the oil fields, and which definitely motivates the oil field customers to see how to mitigate these and still get the value from these resources and assets, at protecting, having the safety in place, and also ensuring there are no environmental impacts. So it is sets the stage that the technology and the solutions which we have in this age should definitely be coming to rescue or help the oil field customers to get the value from these resources. So the primary objective of the solution, if we look summarizing all the challenges, are that we should be able to run the productions efficiently, safely, have limited downtimes, knowing that these are all very remote and unmanned. Definitely, we should have a good system in place or a solution in place which can avoid or prevent any unplanned downtimes, and then have a solution which can help to discover or uncover any equipment issues, or and also ensure that these assets, as they are aging, they don't have any impact on the performance, in the sense if they are not performing to their designed capacity or efficiency, then the customer gets to know about it from these systems. So these are all the driving factors where the digital solution or the digital oil field comes and addresses these challenges. And as part of the solutions, before even we get to solving this problem and deciding on the system, it was very essential to understand the site, like a site survey, before even we even get into the project proposal. Understanding the site, looking at the type of systems which are already there, in case if it's a brownfield oil field, and then what type of communication infrastructure exists in that field, and then the other environmental conditions, whether it is onshore, offshore, whether it is humid, high temperature, low temperature. So all these things are very essential to be understood before we put the solution. And then of course, once we understand this, then we can really put a right solution and choose the right products which can sit in this type of an environment, and which needs to meet these requirements uh, of uh, of securing the data, and and then providing those insights to the customer remotely. So all these drives how we really go about putting the solution together, and it needs a lot of engineering, and of course there is no cookie cutter approach here to take something and fix that here. So it needs to be perfectly aligned to what is required for that particular field or the environment. And uh, uh, so uh, and apart from understanding the ecosystem and then the environment and the other resources available, also making sure that we have the right ecosystem partners around, and for putting these solutions on the field. uh, Apart from just the technology, we also need to have right ecosystems in terms of installing the systems or supporting the systems, and understanding how these fields operate and what type of measures, safety measures, and have to be taken before even we go and start putting the system in place. So all these things have to be upfront thought about and to be considered when we are actually trying to solve this problem. And then definitely, since these wells are all very remote, and after we put the system in place, there needs to be some support. So then how do we really provide that support? What will be that local partner ecosystem we may have to create? So these things have to be thought through, and then considering all this is what we can really come up at a very I would say accurate bill of material, or the when I say bill of material, in terms of what hardware, software, and services do we need to solve this problem. And then in this case, particularly when we have wells which are located and spread across, the solution which where we have been part of, where we had to put the edge devices which were required to collect the data from the existing automation systems which were there, and in some cases we had to do some sensorization to take some additional data from the wells. And then we were also required to understand what is that connectivity uh, requirements in terms of integrating this edge device to the existing systems and to the other data sources. Uh, and uh, and again, since some of these wells come from multi-generation systems, that is a challenge, and we have to make sure that we understand what type of protocols, type of networks are there, and have the system there in place to collect the data reliably. And then of course, the other part is, where do we really put the application? And in the case where we had our experience, it was hosted on a cloud. And so when we say we have to host this on a cloud, then the next immediate challenge would come on what communication infrastructure existed in that field, whether we should do it over a 4G, or whether we should do it over a SATCOM or on a fiber optics cable. And in this case, what we did was on a 4G. And again, uh, we know that these type of fields will have some uncertainty or some issues with the communication, but definitely those things were kept in consideration when we had to uh, uh, choose the right technology for connecting the data from the edge to the cloud. And then since these devices get spread all over the well, definitely they required a solution to manage these edges remotely. So as part of the solution, we had to plan for the edge device management software, which took care of managing these devices in terms of its updates and any refreshes which are required. So now this actually had created the base infrastructure for us to collect the data, and then securely and reliably transport that data to the cloud, where the application was hosted to to monitor the state of the well and to state of the equipments, and then critical KPIs, uh, and that's how this application helped the user to actually meet those requirements in the areas of improving their production efficiency or improving the reliability of the operations and safety of the operations. And then of course the state of the wells, as I think as Mr. Manjunath Rao indicated, are sometimes very dynamic. So the solution also had capability to actually classify the state of the well based on the signature of uh, the DENA card, which helped the user to take appropriate decision. And the system also helped to provided some advisory to help the user or the operator to decide on how he should really utilize or run that well, uh, uh, and that's how I think it helped to improve the efficiency of the production, and then also take right decisions on which wells to be managed or operated and differently. So all this was something which was offered in the application, and then it had notifications, alarms, reports, which gave those required timely, periodic, on-demand insights to the customer, for the user to manage these wells remotely from a centralized location. And after we put these type of solutions, it is also very essential to see how to keep these systems up and running, and that is where the managed service part of our solution helped, where we have the provision to remotely monitor the state of the edges, remotely monitor the state of the system, and ensure greater than 99% data availability at the active runtime of the well, which was very essential. And since these are all remote and unmanned, it's very difficult to deploy anybody to go to the field for any challenges. So they have to be continuously monitored and alerted in case if we start seeing some anomalies. So this is how the entire solution which started off understanding what is there, and then putting a right product in place, and then having those right features on the centralized dashboard to actually get those timely periodic insights to run the production safely and reliably. And then of course in this whole journey of solving this problem, there were surprises, and sometimes these surprises sometimes do not necessarily be the key technical surprises. They sometimes surprise us because generally we assume that those things work. Like for example, some availability of power supply near our system suddenly became a challenge, and then suddenly we cannot just go and dig a cable there because of all the other limitations and restrictions we have. So we had to do some last minute rush for that, but definitely there was a good learning and we could prevent that in our subsequent installations. And then sometimes getting the support of the IT team for enabling that communication establishment between the edge and their centralized cloud system. This also, if upfront, though it was planned upfront, but still had its own challenges on how to get these things securely connected. So these were some challenges which we surprises which came during our technical, in the area of technical. But of course, some of the non-technical surprises which we had to come across were the cycle time of getting those work permits, safety trainings, and then sometimes the challenges of the local labor. So these things were also very, I would say, interesting challenges to overcome to deploy these type of solutions. So knowing that these systems are running very remote, data is on a wireless infrastructure, it is on a cloud. So definitely there will be questions on how secure it is, how reliable it is, and then is it really scalable? Because the wells can come. We can There may be definitely situations where we have to keep adding some wells as the customer gets those bandwidth to add more wells. So the questions will come on how this solution addressed the areas of security, reliability, and scalability. So that I think I will pass on to Rushendra for
Great.
talking more
I
about
think
what technology stack we used. Yeah.
yeah. I think having gone through that journey of actually implementing that solution from a digital oil field standpoint, right? I think that sets the tone for I think Rushi to come in from a tech stack point of view, right? Based on that solution approach of all those areas that Dinesh covered, I think it'll be interesting to hear what you have to say from your experience of how you've gone about selecting the right tech stack while implementing digital oil fields in your experience.
Sure, Nitin. So before we address the security, reliability, and scalability, so the first thing starts with choosing the applications. Right, you have an application running on the stack, and then you have an application running which is responsible for your decision support system. And then you also need to choose an application to manage the edge devices, because that becomes a very critical factor. Even if your assets are running, if your edge is down, no data comes to you for a further analysis. So choosing the applications that form the solution is very important. The second important area which should be concentrated is any of these things are spread across multiple layers. You have to do something on the engineering, and you need to do the solution architecture, and then thirdly you need to have SOPs. So only then all these, whatever we are going to put as a tech stack or whatever the controls we are going to put, are going to work. Now, going with the experience of what we have done, uh, the way we have addressed security is multi-layered. We need to address that at the edge level, we need to address that at the transport, and then we need to address it at the application where the data is stored, and all that. If I have to really talk about the edge part, we have implemented various things. We started with hardware security, hardware-based security for all your authentication, and then we have implemented TOTPs. We have implemented multi-factor authentication, and then your TLS is always there for HTTPS2, and then hardening the OS just to make sure that you don't expose the ports which are not used, or which are used for a particular operation. Only that operation is allowed on that port. So there are multiple layers that you need to keep adding to give a complete security architecture or a security perspective on the edge. And then of course you need to include the DMZs. That is what we have done, the DMZs, and then implemented a data diode kind of a pattern. I mean, if not really in the true sense, it's always that the edge will speak. You don't access the edge from anywhere. That's a very, very key aspect for any distributed kind of edges. So these are some of the things that were laid out at laid out in the entire application. And then the SOPs are also in place. So both in tandem will provide a comprehensive security right from data collection all the way to data transport and data storage. The second aspect, which is about reliability, is the assets are already running, and this being a new solution that is getting introduced with the edge has to be reliably running all the time. And it is dependent on your there is no dedicated communication or anything that we have seeked for this particular implementation. We are running on a regular cellular network, and it has its ups and downs. So we need to deal with that. So we have provided comprehensive infrastructure within every edge to make sure that the communication is managed properly. So if there is a disruption, then we are going for store and forward kind of features. And when the edge comes back, or when the communication comes back, we provided multiple channels to stream both the live data and your historical data at the same time. And then, of course, the edge device management. Dinesh was mentioning about the management. So an application like edge device management plays a very key role in reliability. because you will be monitoring the health of the edge. You will be providing the necessary updates to the edge, as and when it could be application patches or it could be OS patches. And then time is a very important factor, because most of the analytics is dependent on time. So, and then oftentimes these edges drift away. So making sure that we always have an eye on the time is very important. And all these functions are provided by the edge device manager kind of an application. And then the third point, what we have addressed, is the scalability. Now, the edges are of a different scale. The communication infrastructure has to be set up accordingly. And then your cloud also has to be done accordingly. So even for about 20 wells, you will be dealing with a few million points per day. That's how the data is. So on one side, we need to look for your horizontal scalability. It comes through containers or containerized applications. It could be through your clusterizing applications, so that you can start small and then keep on increasing as and when the assets and the fields get added into the system. On the other hand, we also need to pay attention to the costs that are involved in transporting the data and the kind of storage that is required at the edge. So we need what we have done is we have done a comprehensive data management. We don't send the whole data onto the cloud. So we exercise the discretion as to what should stay, what should get analyzed at the edge, and what the insights can go back to the cloud, and what raw data has to go to the cloud, and what is the kind of bandwidth that we use, and then the sizing of the servers comes into picture. So as at the architecture level, it is already addressed to scale horizontally, and that's how we have addressed the scalability in this. Yeah,
Great. I think thanks Rushi. I think you summed up that whole journey of how that solution approach that Dinesh highlighted, and the key parameters that you would look at from a security, reliability, and scalability standpoint, and how you would go about choosing the right tech stack and what goes into it. Right. Yeah, I think this was super insightful and 30 minutes packed of information for our audience. I think. Definitely a lot of things to take away, but again, I think if anyone has any questions related to how you would want to sort of go about in this digital oil field journey, as well as any sort of suggestions from our industry veterans, do feel free to sort of leave a message in the comment box or reach out to us, and we'll definitely connect you to the right people. And as you can see, we're well equipped to sort of assist you in different stages of your digital oil field journey. And again, it was a great session. I think lots to sort of take away from. And thank you, gentlemen, again for your time. And I can go on, but there's a lot that we can all learn from you guys. But I can that's it for us for as of today, because it was a short 30-minute session. So, like I said, if you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to us, and definitely we'll connect with you and get into further details. And yeah, thanks, gentlemen. I think until next time, we'll definitely be back with another session, and it was a refreshing topic for sure. And thank you all for your time again.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you,
Thank
Nathan.
you. Thanks.
Thank you
Yeah,
all.
Yeah.
bye.
Bye bye.
Yeah.